Previously on the Rod Pedersen Show.
Party bus. A 3-year-old bull bred specifically for bucking has performed in his first and last rodeo. I don't know if you heard this or not, but Party Bus made headlines last weekend at his first rodeo when he jumped the fence of a crowded arena in Central Oregon and injured 3 people. One person broke an arm and another hurt their head and neck. A woman who was tossed in the air had the least serious of all injuries. Party Bus was trained for bucking with a remote-controlled dummy. I haven't seen the video, but tell me, did the lady have her back turned to the arena or the bull?
It looked like they were just honestly, it looked like they were just in a common area. Like, imagine, Craven, where there's places to get drinks and burgers and whatever else. Like, they were all just standing around socializing in a common public area, and the bull got in there. And it was like nobody was expecting it.
So it's not their fault. Not their fault. But the guy out in Calgary, he will write in if he's watching today. The guy that said, "You are a true Saskatchewan farm boy, a true country boy." I've been saying it for years, but here's one. Anybody that's been to our farm, and you have, can attest. We've got a 3-corner corral with the rails are about at least 5 feet high. And one time I was crossing that corral, walking, turned my back on the bull, and thank God my brother yelled. I was about in grade 10. My brother yelled, "Roddy!" And I turned, did it quickly, and I scissored the 5-foot, at least 5.5 foot. Didn't even touch it. When they say the superhuman feats you're capable of when adrenaline hits you, yeah. And that was the last time I ever turned my back on a bull. And a couple years ago, we broadcast this show from a rodeo arena, remember, in Calgary? I don't think you were with me.
Yeah.
But they set me all up, and they had the bulls in the pen. I said, listen, we got to turn this thing around because I'm not turning my back on that because these things can get out. So the Party Bus, not his fault.
Get ready for the Rod Pedersen Show.
Do you see the series changing on a dime because of the venue? It could. I mean, what do you expect in Game 3?
Edmonton better come out humming. You look at the way that Edmonton's played throughout the course of this series and their goal differential in that opening period, they've been able to land the knockout blows early. They needed to look more like game number 1. If that comes, then they're gonna have more of a chance at a victory.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Hi, everybody. It is the RP Show. I'm having what I think could be best explained as an out-of-body experience. And for those that watch on YouTube and you watch the pre-roll, I feel like, now I know what it feels like to be you, because I was sitting back and where it's like going to the movies. We show a little pre-show before we go to air, and they're running a clip from yesterday's show, and I'm just sitting back going, Rod, just tell me stories. Just tell me stories. I just want to sit back and be entertained. Is that you every day? That's how I feel. Let's bring in the Moose. It continues, Moose. The Wi-Fi is buggered. The lights went off within the last hour. They got it all fixed, but I think it's all. Here's the thing. Everything to do with the Rod Pedersen Show is running tickety-boo. It's humming. It's everything else around outside my life. Just do what you said you were going to do, and we'll be good. I don't know why that's so hard. Anyways, Darren, how's your day so far? What's up? What do you got? You're having a better day than me, right?
Well, I know. I hate to say it, but it was 24 degrees already this morning. It's going to be up to 30 this afternoon. I was already out, got my exercise in, all that stuff. But then Leanne tells me that we might have tornadoes ripping through southern Ontario here this afternoon.
Of course.
So I'll be hunkered down inside the rest of the day.
Good for you. Well, it's one of those days where you just want to go stick your head under the covers and not leave. But we can't do that. We're broadcasting a television show, and I got a baseball game to call tonight. Listen, I got to, I guess, go from memory here because the Wi-Fi just took a dump for my computer, so I got to go to a hot spot. Here we go. So the guests today are Rich Sutter. Can you tell everybody? We're in one already. It's going to be a very entertaining show. Rich Sutter, 13-year NHL veteran, is going to be with us to talk Stanley Cup Final, but he also wants to talk about the American Hockey League Final. And Jim Lang, Canada's foremost NFL expert, owner of many leather-bound books, best-selling author. Jim Lang will be with us in hour 2. Can you hit the quick 6 show horn, please? Well, speaking of having a day, this is where we start with the big story. The Edmonton Oilers host the Florida Panthers in Game 3 of the Stanley Cup Final tonight at Rogers Place in Edmonton. Panthers up 2-0. The Alberta Capital last hosted a Stanley Cup Final game in 2006 when the Carolina Hurricanes went on to beat the Oilers in 7. Now, opting to spend an extra night in their own beds and skate at their practice facility in Fort Lauderdale Wednesday morning, the Panthers were delayed by storms in South Florida. Their flight scheduled to take off at 1 p.m. didn't get off the ground until nearly 4:30, and they landed in Edmonton sometime after 8 p.m. So all I will say, I'm going to put this out right now. This is the poll question today. Do you expect the Panthers' travel problems to affect their play in Game 3 tonight? And the last I looked, it's been up on Twitter for about an hour, 88% of respondents saying no. No. And it won't. They're a mentally strong team. They got in the night before the game, slightly less than 24 hours before face-off. And I'll just say from the junior hockey realm, where we weren't, and they still aren't staying in 5-star hotels, eating steak at every meal. We rolled into Sask Place in Saskatoon an hour before a game. I was with the PA Raiders, and we tried to get the game pushed back. You know, the Blades. No. Nope. It says 7:30. We're playing at 7:30, and we went out and whooped their ass.
Hey,
we won.
We were here ready to go when the game was ready to start, Rod. We were ready to go. We all knew what time the game was.
It's not like we stopped in Rosthern for lunch like it was a blizzard. We were coming from Alberta, right? We barely made it. And I think it was before cellular phones. We certainly didn't have one on the bus. And they're like, no, we're not even delaying this game, let alone postponing it. And we went out and won. And that's enough I'll say. I was saying to Joe last night, I could spend 2 hours telling travel stories. We were coming home from Calgary on a plane with the Riders one time after a playoff game, I believe. We got 1 foot off the ground in a blizzard, November, and the pilot's like, nope. Comes over the mic, we're going back to Calgary, boys. We're like, no, we were a foot away from landing. Turned around, went back to Calgary, deplaned, stayed overnight, came, But in that case, at least the game was over. So, again, I don't expect the Panthers, it'll affect them at all. They won't even be thinking about it today. But I can't speak for you. How would you answer that?
I would say no. If you're getting to this point in the Stanley Cup Final, in the playoffs, you are a close team typically. I feel like disjointed teams can't make it this far in the playoffs if you don't come together as a group. And so when you have these sort of adverse conditions and you're on the road like that, I think it can actually bring teams closer together. You're going through that together. Maybe a big card tournament or card game breaks out in the plane. You start, it kind of, you deal with the adversity together. And this is just a piece of adversity that the Panthers have now already gone through and came out on the other side. Sleep a little longer today, get a little nap in the afternoon. They'll be okay tonight.
From the audience, and remind me about the bus stopping in around Swift Current. What David in Winnipeg writes that he says, nice hoodie, or should I say bunny hug there, Rod. Good morning to you and Moose. Yeah, I was rifling through my stuff. I was in Regina yesterday where a lot of my stuff is, and I'm like, I'm going to put this on. I grabbed some real nice stuff, Clark. I'll be modeling it over the next several days. Travis Peters says, Rod, we're always entertained by you guys. Bomber Boy says if Edmontons are worth their salt, they'll find out where the Panthers are staying and pull the fire alarm. Well, they tried that in Boston, and it didn't work against these Panthers. Don't forget that. They're fine. One time we were coming home from Portland. It's 21 hours from Portland to YQR, and it's Swift Current-ish, the bus. No! We've made it 18 hours. Wait, 2.5 more on the side of the road. And by the way, it's a bus. You don't just call Cletus's tow truck service. You got to get a bus tow truck, which is so weird. He had to drive all the way out from Regina. Hours delayed. So we were having contests on the bus, as you say. Bobby Lowe's was our coach, and we got down to this. Guys, come to the front of the bus and let's count how many who's got the most zits on their face. Whoever's got the most zits wins a prize. A gift certificate when we get back from Western Pizza. I guess these are the things. You said playing games, playing cards. Get up to the front of the bus and tell us jokes. And if you don't make the veterans laugh, we're going to kick the hell out of you. Oh, you can't do that anymore. But listen, travel, if you want to know, like I'm 51, I feel 91. Like I'm done. Folks, elevate your game at Golden Ticket Sports Center in Moose Jaw, where passion meets performance, goldenticketsportscenter.com. We moved to the CFL because that's what we do. I said yesterday, summer's coming in Canada, man. What we talk about in the summer is the NHL and the CFL and the Blue Jays if they're winning. And week 2 in the CFL kicks off tonight. The Ottawa Red Blacks open their 10th anniversary season at TD Place tonight against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Former Bombers quarterback Drew Brown will start under center for an Ottawa team that's missed the playoffs for 4 straight years. Meanwhile, Winnipeg is coming off a season-opening 27-12 loss to the Montreal Alouettes in Week 1. Ottawa had a bye last week. Shout out, Jenna's tuned in from Southern California. She is the biggest Red Blacks fan that I know, and she is here to hear. She's here for the Red Blacks talk. And so my pick tonight is Winnipeg. I wrote some game notes down because of all the craziness that has just exploded in my life in the last 24, 48 hours. The game notes make me feel good. The warm feeling. So Zach Caleros, all-time 39-9, is the starting quarterback for Winnipeg, 39-9. Drew Brown, how about this, the quarterback for Ottawa? Every 10 pass attempts, he throws a touchdown. That's in the game notes. Nobody's ever done that in anywhere. Every 10th pass goes for a touchdown. But that's with Winnipeg. And the reason I'm going with Winnipeg tonight, if you want to go through who wants it more, Winnipeg got pantsed at home by Montreal last week, so they're going to be motivated. It'd be tough to say Ottawa doesn't really want to win it, Darren. I'm sure they really want to win it, to quote Lynch. But Winnipeg's just a better team, and I think Drew Brown, who's been with Winnipeg for 3 years, they know him. They know his nuances. They know his tendencies. Winnipeg's got all the numbers are pointing to Winnipeg. So for that reason, I'll take Winnipeg. Are you with me?
I'm with you on Winnipeg. I really intrigued by Ottawa, though. I'm really intrigued. And mostly I'm with Winnipeg because I just don't see a team of that caliber losing back-to-back games to start the season. So it's much less about Ottawa for me, and it's more about Winnipeg. And I don't think they'll lose 2 games in a row to start the season. Now, Ottawa really is intriguing, and most of it comes around Drew Brown. I'm really curious now. It's easy. Nothing in professional football is easy. I got to catch myself. It's not easy to go into a game as a backup quarterback or to start games anywhere. But Winnipeg's a very comfortable situation where you've got a lot of safety. You got a great head coach. You got weapons. You got an offensive line. You had all these things. Now you're the guy in Ottawa. And I think that's just a whole nother wrinkle and a whole nother element. So I'm curious to see how he handles the pressure tonight.
Sure. Well, and by the way, this is why it's so hard for anybody to make picks, is because we don't know the guy. You and I don't know him. The Bombers know him. Ottawa now knows him, but I don't know what he's made of. I don't think they would have signed him and invested all that money without doing all of their homework, of course. But this is a huge season for Ottawa. And if they were playing anybody else but these Bombers who are motivated themselves, I might pick them to win. But not tonight. And by the way, we have our week 2 picks coming up later this hour. It'll be next hour probably. We were 2-2 last week. You graciously tried to give me the Argos, but I didn't pick the Argos. I picked BC. So we were both 2-2. And I think people are going to be very surprised at my picks this week. But here's another story for you, everybody. Across the land, and shout out to my friends in Florida, including Chris from the Bronx. They don't really understand because they've never been anywhere near here. They've never been to Western Canada, let alone this, like Chris said. Are they all Oilers fans up there? No, it's pretty fragmented, although this province is historically an Oiler province. But football is the thing in Saskatchewan, as you know. And by the way, since I've been out and I live somewhere else and I come back to visit, I look and go, this place is freaking awesome. And we didn't even realize it at the time living there. But it's great for so many reasons, as you know. But you don't realize it because it's all you know, right, when you're growing up. But I look at Mississippi, Alabama. That's what I always heard. That's what it was. And here's an example, Darren. My microphone that I use to record the daily commentary pretty much calved on me yesterday. I could hot wire it and rig it up to last a couple more days, but I'm like, I'm just going to go into Best Buy and go buy a new one. To quote my dad, it owes me nothing. I've used it every day for 4 years or more, right? So I'll go buy a new one. I walk into Best Buy, Regina, Saskatchewan, Canada. Go get my snowball mic, walk up to the till, the guy behind the counter. Oh, hi, Rod. What's your prediction for Sunday? Just like I was never gone. Like, you know what I mean? And I'm like, I got the Riders to win this one. He's like, yeah, me too. It was the first guy that I talked to since driving into town. He was the first guy. So this is not surprising you, Darren, right? But that's it in a nutshell, if you want to know what it's like.
Yeah, and it is. It's pretty awesome. It's pretty awesome, especially when you've left to come back. I think is great because you start appreciating the things that you took for granted, for all those years. I remember coming back. I went and lived in BC for 2 years. I came back and I drove in August. I'm like, I stopped on the side of there. I'm like, holy smokes, these like the wheat fields and the canola fields. I'm like, they look just to me now beautiful. As good as the mountains and the ocean, And for a while, I'm like, exactly. What am I doing? I can just see forever. It is unbelievable. So I'm glad you're enjoying it.
It helps to go see somewhere else and come back. And I'm not joking. I'm like, this place is awesome. The weather sucks. Donkey balls, however, the winter.
How about that?
So you won't see me around. You won't see me around for that. Bomber Boy, who's in Calgary, writes in and he says, nice sweater, Rod. Hope it brings my Bombers some good luck after the butt kicking we took last week. I'm looking around at my stuff, and I'm like, I have a Bomber jersey that guy Pumper sent me. Remember? I have it, but I'm like, I'm not wearing a Bomber jersey on it. Nope. They can settle for the Jets jacket. That's more than enough. Brian in Hudson's Bay writes in. He says, good morning, guys. Regarding the Panthers, he says, I heard somewhere they landed 3 hours later than what was planned. I can't even see that being a talking point, let alone an issue or excuse. Landed at 8 instead of 5, big deal. All it did was some guys lost a little more money and some won a little more, which is another thing. You got to give the Florida hockey fans and my friends a lot of credit because they really want to know what it's like up here. They want to know because it's such a different world. So I had to re-download all my apps and everything, Darren, and I got the Sportsnet changed theirs and the Score changed theirs and stuff since the last time it's been a long time since I was home. All day. And I'm in banks, I'm in institutions, I'm doing life, and my phone's going bing, 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 bing. All these notifications. I got 2 phones. And it's like, Panthers flight delayed. Flash flood warning in South Florida. Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, guy, go on. Yeah, the Panthers. So are 2 million other people around America's travel sucks. They're not the only ones. And I can sort of understand why people are freaking out. It's the Stanley Cup Final, and for people that haven't been through this. But I was just sitting there going, can you just stop? I'm sitting there going, notifications. How do I turn this off? Because I'm getting annoyed. They'll get there when they get there. They're not 17-year-old teenage boys, where you got to have the coach standing up at the front of the bus. Boys, we'll get there when we get there. Just chill, just have fun. Have another orange juice. Crack another cheese and crackers, okay? Play another round of cards. We'll get there when we get there. That's how I'm looking at it. Why is this literally national? It's national news that the Florida Panthers were delayed 3 hours. Come on. We'll be back in a moment. We're live on the Game Plus television network, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Live, and Spotify.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
The 80s Club, live in Moose Jaw. Honeymoon Suite, along with a flock of seagulls. Men without hats. And spoons. All together for one night at Moose Jaw.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Hey, honey, can you get one of the kids to show me how this Twitter thing works? Honey, I need to get on Instagram. Time for more of the Rod Pedersen Show.
I hope this show is also doing for you what it's doing for me, and it's put me in a good mood. I'm chuckling at the comments. Let's please bring the moose back in. Hey, and reward your love of movies. Sign up for Landmark Extras for free today. Get more of what you love, free movies and concession items, invitations to exclusive screenings, special events, and more. Just go to landmarkcinemas.com for more information and choose a program that fits your life the best. We got a lot of comments have come in regarding our topics, obviously. The CFL game tonight, the Stanley Cup Final Game tonight. Regarding the guy at Best Buy wanting my prediction on the Rider game Sunday, Brent in Wellington, Florida says, Regina is a very small, big city. He would know. He's from here, and we used to date the same girl. What more do you need to know when it comes to the size of the city? The Barflies in Winnipeg says, the Blue will miss Lawler and Oliveira. Robert in Las Vegas says, the Bombers are a mystery right now, especially missing Lawler and Brady. Nothing would surprise me tonight. Mel writes in and says, I'm liking an upset in Ottawa tonight. The Velvet Frog writes in and says, Red Blacks for the upset. I'm really hoping this CTV deal really helps the CFL. And regarding the Florida Panthers being delayed 3 hours because of massive rainstorms in South Florida getting out, and the poll question is, will the Panthers' travel problems affect their play in Game 3? 81% of you saying no. Andrew is watching in Dryden, Ontario, and he says, I leave an hour before work, and I'm there 15 minutes before I start. And we're talking about them possibly not being ready to go when they arrive at a 5-star hotel 12-plus hours before their game the next day. Am I missing something? What do you feel about that, Darren?
Well, you're not going 2 time zones across the continent either, through the air. So jet lag is a thing, and that doesn't necessarily fix itself right away. So that becomes a little bit more difficult. But yeah, you're right. But it's, you do have 12 hours. They do have to adjust. This is again the small part, if there is any, to home ice advantage for the Oilers. Sleeping in your own bed, on your own schedule, all the rest. And Florida has to deal with traveling on the road. And guess what? Not the first time they've gone on the road, not the first time they've crisscrossed the continent or the countries. They've done this before. This isn't new for hockey players. So I think they'll be okay.
I voted no. You voted no. Everybody's voting no. It's just a question. He said, am I missing something here? Which, by the way, why I'm put a smile on my face. So Leon Draisaitl, I guess it must have been yesterday, maybe today. They do so many interviews. It's unbelievable, which is actually awesome. The accessibility to the NHL players in these playoffs and this every single day, the head coaches and the media and the players are talking to the media every day. Morning skates, day off practice, and then after the game, twice on game days, they're talking to the media. Twice. Not that that's a problem, but we certainly know what they're thinking, right? And Leon Draisaitl said, maybe it was yesterday, maybe it was today. He's like, I'm not that kind of player. I don't feel, to paraphrase, I don't feel good about injuring Barkov, no matter how serious it was. And I like the comment, but what flashed by him, and he's right. He's never hurt anybody in his life. He's a scorer. It's not what he does, right? It was a dirty shot. And, Bill Lindsay said yesterday on this show that he left his feet. He actually did. If you go back and look, he left his feet and delivered that elbow. But again, I don't think he would do it again. But in my mind, it just it reminded me of my other job as the recovery coach, interventions, all the stuff that I do in the addiction mental health. Darren, when somebody goes, that's not me. Is that right? Roll back the tape, Bob. That's you on the surveillance tape. So that's not me. Actually, it is. You know what? You being thrown out of this place, you're on this cop film on his body. Too extreme, Darren? Too extreme? Or no? I'm
not a dirty player. This is you, though, right? I don't do that kind of stuff. That's not me. That's not my character. Well, it is now.
I thought it might have been too extreme.
It was last night.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry. I don't remember doing that. That's not me. Well... Who is that?
I just think, I don't usually drink that much. Well, you did last night. I'm sure you've been there.
Right, so who do we blame then?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's all that I'm saying. That's the stuff that I deal with every day. So that's where I just look at sports and go, this ain't that big a deal compared to this other stuff, Anyways, point 3, the Toronto Blue Jays are off after falling 5-4 to the Milwaukee Brewers Wednesday. Toronto 4th now in the American League East, or I should say still with a 33-35 record. 3 games back of a wild card spot. They'll host the Cleveland Guardians for a 3-game series beginning Friday at Rogers Center. Western Canadian Baseball League last night. Moose Jaw continues to just have their way with the opposition. The Miller Express, 8-1 winners last night at Swift Current. Saskatoon over Medicine Hat, 14-8. I was with my guy Bob last night. Bob, my sponsor Bob. He goes, we're sitting on the couch at his house watching television. And he goes, is it really the Saskatoon Berries? Yeah, it is, Bob. Yeah, it is. That's the name of the team, Bob. And he goes, well, these kids, imagine the Americans going home. Who do you play for up there? Oh, the Berries. Regina spanked Weyburn 12-6. Sylvan Lake over Fort McMurray 18-1. And Okotoks over Brooks 11-4. Tonight, Moose Jaw hosts Regina here at Roswells Park. I'll be broadcasting the game for Moose Jaw against Regina. Talk about time warp. Hey, wow. Things change. The Canadian Elite Basketball League has a new single-game scoring record. Jalen Harris's historic 45-point performance led the Saskatchewan Rattlers to a 104-93 win over the Brampton Honey Badgers at the phone booth last night. He's the former Raptors second-round pick, now playing for Saskatchewan in the CEBL. He put up 45 last night, and the Rattlers knocked off Brampton 104-93, and I don't think has anybody heard from Lee Genier since? He's been partying ever since. That's not a road you want to go down, Rod. You and I both know that. Meanwhile, Jason Tatum scored 31 points as the Boston Celtics held off a furious rally by the Dallas Mavericks to win 106-99 and take a 3-0 lead in the NBA Finals. And I guess while we're sitting here, the Rattlers pro basketball team plays out of SaskTel Center, offering the best entertainment for all of Saskatchewan sports fans. Their season's underway, as you heard. And you can get your tickets now at Ticketmaster or head on down to the Rattlers front office in downtown Saskatoon, home of the Berries. Any thoughts? Because I got a good one coming up, point 5, that really has your name on it. Anything, or shall I move on?
Just one thought on the Berries. You hear what they're calling their fans now in Saskatoon, the Berries?
The Fam Jam. Jam Fam.
The Jam Fam. Yeah, the Jam Fam. I think it's great. And you know what? Those American players, they play for a team called the Bananas. What's the difference?
The Savannah Bananas. Hey, listen.
Which, by the way, they sold out Fenway Park. Did you see that? The Bananas?
I didn't see that. Did not see that.
They're doing a tour across America. They sold out Fenway Park. Unbelievable.
How about that? Hopefully they come to Canada. Mind you, we have the Saskatoon Berries, so we don't need the Savannah Bananas. What's next? The Syracuse Orange? Point 5. Legendary quarterback Tom Brady was inducted into the New England Patriots Hall of Fame Wednesday night. Dozens of Tom's former teammates and coaches joined thousands of fans and celebrities, including Jay-Z and Bon Jovi, to salute the man who brought New England 6 Super Bowl trophies during his 2-decade run with the team. The night included video tributes from some of Brady's competitors and cameos from Boston celebrities such as Red Sox legend David Ortiz and actor Matt Damon. I saw the clips of it. I don't know if my buddy Luke, the Rough Riders color guy, posted the clip of Tom talking about how life is hard. And I'm like, oh, God, buddy, your lips to God's ears, however they say it. He goes, you're getting out of bed 6 a.m. every day to train when your friends are still sleeping and eating pancakes for breakfast. And all that stuff, the training, the bruising, the swelling, the work, pays off for moments like last night. Obviously winning his 7 Super Bowls, but then going into the Hall of Fame. The guy's got it all, man. But it hasn't been easy. What are your thoughts on what went down there last night? I'm assuming you saw some of the coverage.
I'm glad you brought this up because it was pretty awesome last night, and I was watching a lot of the coverage and all the rest, and it seemed like it was dominating my timeline. It was, you know, from the people that were there to Tom to his speech, and he said, yeah, like, you know, if I could give you any advice, it's play football because football's hard. And when you can learn to do things that are hard, it can make life a little more enjoyable and a little more easier because life is hard no matter what you're doing. So learning how to do hard things and being consistent, you know, he talked about the things that make him a Hall of Famer are not talent. It's consistency, it's work ethic, it's showing up, it's, you know, committing to doing the job. And he did a great job of that. So I'm glad you brought that up. And the other video that was on my timeline was Dolphins legend Larry Zonka. Did you see that one? I posted it on Twitter. I reposted it on Twitter.
I saw it on your feed, yes.
Yeah, so those two videos, those two speeches were dominating my timeline this morning. And Larry Zonka was asking about, were they finally named the greatest team ever? You know, the only perfect team in 100 years. And he got fired up. He's like, you know, we were never given the respect. And, you know, then he gets into this eloquent talk about what it takes to be perfect. And when you're perfect, when you're a perfect team, you don't have any stat leaders, receptions leaders, yards leaders, passing leaders, rushing leaders, tackle leaders, sack leaders, because you're not one-dimensional. You're focused on everything. It's about winning. It's not about stats. And it was pretty cool. And it's kind of cool to see, you know, an older former football player fired up and passionate about what they gave to the game. And it means a lot. And I think it's worth a watch.
For those that for it be easier to find it, just go to Darren DuPont's Twitter. I assume it's like the top thing running. But here's my take on it. And I've been around Larry Zonka in Miami. at those alumni things I told you about. He's incredibly cool. He's the man for the 1972 team. And Bob Greasy, and Bashuto's not with us anymore, but I just think he got tired of talking about it. Because the clip opens with, they didn't give it to us, we GD took it. Right? And he was mad, and then he calmed down and he smiled. Right? And he's tired of talking about it. Just like, that's what I took away. And he's like, you guys, you don't get it. To paraphrase what Darren just said, we didn't have the top stat leader, quarterbacks, tackles, running yard. We didn't have any of that. But we had the best team. And I'm sitting there looking at the dweebs around him, the media, going, these guys aren't going to get it, Larry. They ain't never going to get it. So that's why he's getting frustrated, I guess.
Was he in Ballers?
You know?
He was in Ballers, right?
He's been in a scene or two. Oh, of course. You can't have a football show in South Florida without having Larry Zonka in it. And by the way, that teal-colored blazer he was wearing in the video, he wears that like 24/7. I think he wears it to bed. All those guys do. All the Dolphins alumni get those teal blazers. Kim Bocamper from Bocamper Sports Bar. Did I take you to Bocamper's? I did, didn't I?
We did. Yeah.
It's up on. His is up on the wall. He framed his. He probably got another one made. But those Dolphins guys, they run the town. And by the way, if the Panthers win this thing, they'll be running the town for a while too. Maybe forever. Who knows? I'll see you back here in an hour or two.
See you then.
This is going to be good. Rich Sutter's in next. We're going to talk Stanley Cup Final and American Hockey League Final. When we return, we're live on the Game Plus television network, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Live, and Spotify.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the city of Esteban and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new Halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at IKSGameDay.com.
Now the race is on and here comes pride in the backstretch.
Celebrate 40 years of Sawyer Brown.
Some girls don't like boys like me.
With Shenandoah.
You got to get me to the church on the Cumberland Road.
Plus special guest George Fox. Saturday, October 26th, Moose Jaw Event Center.
I'll take the dirt road.
Tickets are on sale now at the Moose Jaw Event Center box office or online at sasktix.ca.
6 days on the road and I'm
Sawyer Brown and Shenandoah live.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you.
House. Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. DDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Send us your opinions now. We won't victimize you unless you really deserve it. Now, back to your host, Rod Pedersen.
As you all know by now, but we're going to say it again when we talk hockey, it's brought to you by Common Crown Brewing Company out of Calgary, turning your everyday common beer into a unique and exceptional experience. Visit commoncrown.ca. We have some great comments that have come in from our viewers. We'll get to those next segment. We have a very important one now, and that is Rich Sutter joining us, 13-year NHL veteran. Good day, Richie. Good to see you again, as always, at home at your desk, doing work, I'm sure, getting ready for Game 3 of the Stanley Cup Final tonight. Panthers up 2-0 in the series. What are your thoughts on how we've got here in this affair?
Well, Edmonton probably had the best shot in Game 1 and allowed to get away on them. Goaltending can win you a lot of hockey games, and I wouldn't go so far as to say Sergei Bobrovsky stole one in Game 1. The Oilers were good, but they weren't good enough. It's the bottom line, and they were definitely last 4 periods of the last game plus have been owned by the Florida Panthers. So I don't know if there's such thing as momentum when you have such crazy time off between games like they've had. Tonight, it's all on the line tonight. It's you lose, you're in deep, deep trouble. And I would expect Edmonton to throw their best at them tonight, whatever that is, if they can do it. But they're also playing a pretty good hockey team in Florida that can take the wind out of your sails in a hurry, too. It's just how they play.
Well, I respect the heck out of your opinion, as you know, so I'm going to put you a question that I got from the Panthers fans. They said, how come the Oilers are having so much trouble scoring with all the offense they have? How would you answer that?
You know what? Look, there's a lot of teams that should play or try and play the way the Florida Panthers play. There's a lot of teams that would want to play the way the Florida Panthers play hockey. The bottom line is you got to have the right people in place to do that. First of all, you look at skill and talent and size and grit and sandpaper that Florida's got. Yes, they've got that, but first of all, they've got a lot of those players are also really good people, and they've bought into a system that Paul Maurice loves to play. They just don't play this style of hockey come playoff time. They play this style of hockey starting in September. They had something on their shoulders called a big chip when they went back into camp last September, and they've kept that with them all year, and it's put them to where they are today. I don't know if Edmonton can match that, to tell you the truth. I don't think they've got the players to do it, but they've got 2 guys that can change games on a dime, especially 97. And if 29 can get going, then they might have a series. But look, this game has not been won by the star players by Florida, other than Sergei Bobrovsky in Game 1. It's your foot soldiers. It's your bottom 6 guys. It's been everybody, but it's been contributions up and down the lineup. I think they got 12 players engaged or involved in the score sheet in the first 2 games. That tells you a lot about their depth and where the contributions are coming from. And have we even spoke about Kachuk or guys like that yet, that are big offensive contributors at a hot club and so-called the real spark plugs, but they're getting it from everywhere. And right now in Edmonton, I don't know where they're getting it from. And it remains to be seen what's going to happen. Look, I think they're a beat-up hockey club. We saw how Darnell thought he could sit on the bench the other night and watch the hockey game. He should just bought a ticket, went and sat in the stands, for Christ's sake. To sit on the bench with an injury, should have been in the locker room getting treatment, doing something. But yes, that goes to show some guys get to do what they want to do in certain teams. He would not have been on my bench, I'll tell you that. If you're not good enough to play, off the bench and go get treatment.
Yeah.
But they're banged up, and they're going to need contributions from some other guys tonight, very importantly, and see whether or not Florida's tight checking time and space to answer the question right up front. They've done everything they've wanted to do in terms of checking, and they make it really hard to play against, frustrating to play against, knowing full well that, yeah, I might be good and I might have my willpower tonight and I might have my unleaded fuel in my tank, but I got to go through this every shift. I mean, and that becomes also a mental thing, Rod. And that's where Florida, I think, has the edge to this point mentally, how they can wear you down as a group.
Yeah. Well, and by the way, just backing up, I don't know who needs to hear this, but I'm just reiterating what Rich said about good people on the Panthers. I've been with teams that the philosophy was, you're not playing on this team unless you're a good person. And I've been with teams where that was not the policy. and we won championships with the first one, right? Not every team does that, but it's very, very important. Hey, the Sharks hired a new head coach, and I don't know who he is today. What can you tell us about him?
Well, honestly, I've tried to use my homework on him last year, a few days. He's had good success, relatively good success in Chicago and Charlotte in the American Hockey League. He's been in the San Jose system as an assistant coach. He knows the players, especially the guys that are trying to crack their lineups now. I don't know where they're at with this. It seems to be kind of like off the wall type of signing.
Okay.
Every young guy deserves an opportunity, right? And whether or not he can do that with that group, the bottom line is now, are you going to have the patience to let this guy put his mettle into that organization in terms of how he can structure this lineup and what he's going to be given with? Because let's be honest, are these young guys like Smith and the guy that everyone's talking to be the number one pick overall, are they going to be ready to be NHL players? Like, I don't know if they are. I mean, is it going to be wise to go back to school for one more year, being a number one overall pick, and get a chance to play for your country for the World Championships, the World Juniors? What's going to be better for you long-term moving forward for this organization and for Warsofsky? What's he going to have to work with? And the bottom line is there going to be patience for him within the organization? Because this team is not going anywhere for at least the next 2 or 3 years in terms of up and down the standings.
Ryan Warsofsky, everybody. That's who we're talking. I had to look up his name, and I'm glad to hear you say that because I had no idea. From North Marshfield, Massachusetts, college guy playing, and then has been a Sharks assistant the last 2 years. You've obviously got far more info on it. Ryan Warsofsky, born in 1987. We wish him well. You wanted to talk about the American Hockey League final, the Calder Cup. What do you got?
Well, look, like this is like our AAA League to baseball, and this is to me, if not the second best, the third best league in the world. And this is where a lot of hockey players are developed. This is where some players will probably stay longer than they need to be when they're called up to the NHL. But this is a great hockey league. Really good teams. 2 teams going back to the final for the second year in a row in Coachella Valley, Seattle's farm team, coached by Dan Bialsma, who is going to be the Seattle coach, and by Mr. Nelson, who is a Saskatchewan boy leading Hershey back for the second year in Todd. Another really, really good coach here. 2 really good teams. An epic 7-game series last year. I don't know where it's going to pan out this year. Seattle's probably a better team. Coachella's probably a better team than we were a year ago. I don't think Hershey is as good as they are a year ago. They are not as deep. They're not as big, where they can play that kind of heavy style. They've lost 2 or 3 guys to free agency last summer. Didn't really replace those kind of guys. And they are a banged-up hockey club at this point. So Lucas Johansson is probably will not play the final series, who has been a mainstay in their back end since coming down partway through the year from Washington. And they're banged up, so they're in tough. Do I want to see Hershey play and play well and win? Yes, from a selfish standpoint with my nephew Riley there. But I think it's going to be a tough series for them to hold, and hopefully they can figure it out. But it's the way they play the games for. You get one goaltender and steals a game for you, like everyone said Bobrovsky did. If Shepard can do that for Hershey one night, maybe it'll give him some momentum.
A lot of people are following it, but that shouldn't surprise me. It is Canada after all. Rich, a wonderful report. Enjoy the game tonight. We'll do it again soon.
Talk soon, Rod. Thank you.
13-year NHL veteran from hockey's first family, Rich Sutter. Back with a sports update and viewer takeover right after this. Jim Lang coming up in hour 2. We are live on Game Plus Television, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team.
902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Do you see the series changing on a dime because of the venue? It could. I mean, what do you expect in Game 3?
Edmonton better come out humming. You look at the way that Edmonton's played throughout the course of this series and their goal differential in that opening period, they've been able to land the knockout blows early. They needed to look more like game number one. If that comes, then they're gonna have more of a chance at a victory.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Hi, everybody. Yes, it is. Thank you, Rick Regan. Guilty as charged. And that's going to come up here today. Welcome to hour 2 of your favorite daytime sports talk show. We got a lot to get to, so settle down. Get in there. Make yourself at home. We're broadcasting from the beautiful Golden Ticket Sports Center here in Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan. Let's bring in the Moose. Yes, I'm back for the summer broadcasting baseball. And I'm going to be honest with you, Moose. The Blue Jays are off today, but they're home to the Cleveland Guardians Friday night to begin a 3-game set. This with baseball, I've learned this. So many people are asking me, are you enjoying it? I've never called it before. I'm enjoying it a lot. I don't need to think a whole lot because play-by-play, sort of tell you, play-by-play guys and gals, you don't need to think a whole lot. Roll into the booth, call what you see, go home. Thanks for playing. This is a whole lot different. So, did you hear the comment from the viewer? I won't put you on the spot. I'll read the comment from the viewer here. I'm going to lob it at you, by the way, because you're one half of this whole entity that's in year 6.
I'm ready.
And episode number 1265. If I'm saying the name right, Suprab in Toronto writes in and he says, hey, Rod, what do you think about ICC T20 Cricket World Cup happening? USA beat mighty Pakistan and could be on their way to the Super 8. Is that something amazing, what they achieved so far? Should talk more about these sports as well. I put in the finger shake. He didn't in his text. I did. So I just said, you know what? I'll think about it. But you answer. What would you say to Suprab?
One of
he's the control room guy, Game Plus.
Upsets in the history of sports, Rod. This is one of the great upsets in sports. This would be what my understanding. Okay, well, the Americans, they're 310 million people or whatever the number is now. I don't know what the latest census says. But this would be up there with like Great Britain winning Olympic gold in men's hockey. That's what it would be like. The U.S. winning the cricket World Cup. Look, I'm not a cricket guy. I couldn't tell you the rules or who's winning. But that's what my Twitter timeline tells me, that this upset would be like maybe Japan winning the World Hockey Championship, beating out Sweden and Finland and Canada and the U.S. Big deal, apparently. Big deal.
Well, you had an answer. See, here's what's awesome about that. I told you that I become friends with John Acosta. He's the national anthem singer for the Florida Panthers. So it was like last week, because this isn't new. This happened a few days ago, or at least last week, right? The USA won it. John was like, this is huge for the USA, Rod. I'm like, okay, cool. That's all that he said. But all I could say is my circle of friends in Florida are at least talking about it. We're aware of it. But it reminds me, and Clark says Suprab is he's one of the controllers in the studio. So you go down there and you can say hey to him next time you're down in the Game Plus studios. But I'm like, it reminds me a little of the soccer fans. And we know the soccer people. I went to the Canadian Premier League games in Calgary, and I've been by the stadium in Fort Lauderdale where the Inter Miami plays, which, by the way, Lionel Messi said he's done after Inter Miami, done. He's not playing anywhere else after that. But it's like, we tried. It's like a date. Soccer expressed their interest. I'm like, we'll go out on a date. And we just didn't jive. You know what I mean? And we tried, but it's like it's just not. Baseball, for me, is something that I can really get down with because, as I just heard last night, they're like, Rod, the guys really like you. And I'm like, I barely even know them. They really like, they like having you around the ballpark. That's kind of my thing. Hockey and football, baseball. I can't be into everything. But if you want to cover tennis and cricket and that can be your thing, I feel like that would serve pretty well, right? Do you know what I mean? I tried the date with soccer. We went on a couple dates. It's not happening.
Yeah, I don't know that I'm eager to go on a date with cricket yet. It's just don't know the game.
Oh, what? You have something against cricket? You have something against cricket?
No. I'm willing to learn and take a chance. But as you say, like, I'm not a guy who likes to date around a whole bunch. I find what I like and I stick with that, you know? I don't need to have another thing on the side. I've got tennis and football and hockey. You know, I'm into those things. Those are my stable, right? I don't need anything else on the side.
Okay. Well, let's throw the Canadian Football League in for the love of God, which we're going to get to our picks here right away. Hey, Suprab, maybe you should go check out the Argos. How about that? Am I doing it right?
How about that?
I'm trying to be as polite as I can, dude. Which it reminds me of that clip of Larry Zonka this morning, which I'm glad that you care. Because he was on the 1972 Miami Dolphins, which, by the way, is a hallowed team. You think they're hallowed across the world. What do you think they're like in Miami, man? They never lost a game all year, right? And then all the way, regular season playoffs and the Super Bowl. Never lost, no only team to ever do that. So Zonka snapped on a reporter, and Darren, I don't want to be that. And you can even tell Larry Zonka, he's had some professional help. Because instead of bonking that reporter into the ground, he calmed down. Right? He lost it on the reporter.
He went 100. Like, he hit the gas pedal, and he was good. And then he eased on the brakes, and he's like pulled it back, and then he smiled, took a breath, and then really had a really eloquent answer. It was awesome.
Did that not remind you of me when I'm about to snap? Come on, say that it does, man.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so the older people watching...
You can see the wires cross and then become uncrossed, all in one motion.
Most people just keep going with the snap show. And I'm like, Larry walked it back. And that's me with our guy that was writing in here, Suprab. I'm not going to snap and say, I'm never going to talk about cricket. I'll consider it, but it's just not my thing. And maybe you should get into the CFL. How about that? That's what I always said to the people around here, Saskatchewan, that were mad that I wasn't totally headlong into curling. And I'm like, I'm paying attention to it. The competitors are my friends, but I'm not going to sit and watch every Grand Slam, every spiel. I'll pay attention. Provincial playdowns, Briar time, Scotty's time, but I'm not watching all year. And by the way, I don't see you at the NLL games. I don't see you at the Pats games. So slow your roll. And that was kind of the end of that. Oh, and by the way, finally, this is the Cats and Bolts podcast. That's Serena and I. It's uploading now. Game 3 is tonight. And it's been so much fun being home for the summer here in Saskatchewan. And people have said to me, why do you think that Panthers podcast you're doing has become so popular? And I said, it's not that hard to figure out, bro. I could have gone to Florida and been like 1,010 guys and gals that started Dolphins podcasts, college football podcasts. Why? I'd be lost. There ain't nobody doing a real quality Panthers and Lightning podcast. That's the answer. We're not doing anything special. We just walked in and there was a void and we filled it. Rich Sutter, he's a beauty, eh? Had him on last hour and I should just say the poll question has to do with Game 3 of the Stanley Cup Final tonight. Do you think the Panthers' travel will affect their play in Game 3? Their travel problems, because they were delayed 3.5 hours getting out of Florida because of storms yesterday. I knew better than to even ask Rich because he knows the answer to that. No, it's not going to affect them. It's not. It's not even, no. You voted no, I voted no, and 88% of our respondents said no. What might have been a good poll question is this must win for the Oilers tonight? What would you say to that?
I would say yes. You get to this stage, I mean, 3-0's not impossible, and there's the adage of it's never a must win till you're mathematically eliminated if you lose. But this is a massive, massive, massive game. I think they need to win this game. You can't go down 3-0 to a team that's as defensively good as Florida is.
I'm going to quote my guy, Danny Barrett. And you know what that quote is. It's not must win until when you lose. If you lose, you're eliminated and your season's done. It's not must win until then. So I'll just quote Danny off the hook. So I'll say no, it's not must win for them, but basically. BW in Edmonton writes in, he's trucking in North Dakota right now. He says, trying to watch cricket is like trying to understand college wrestling on TV. No idea. Yeah, but I mean, we ask these new Canadians to follow our sports. The least we can do is try to follow theirs. You know what I mean? Like I go through these parks in Canada and, well, Moose Jaw is very good. Baseball is very strong here. But I'll know this in Regina and Calgary. Who's on the ball diamonds? The cricket players. One time I rolled down my window and yelled at them. At least somebody's using it. Have fun, guys. Nobody's out playing baseball in those towns. Jen at the Four Seasons says, damn rights, it's must win. They lose tonight, it's game over. And I will cry my face off. You can't schedule feelings, Jen, so don't plan to lose already. Don't put that out there. Number one. Number two, Mandy in Edmonton says, I was told that 71% of the time, the team who wins the first game in the final round wins the cup. Well, you look at it this way. 29% of the time, it doesn't happen. It's a pretty easy dressing room speech if you wanted to. Hey, guys, it's not impossible. 29% of other teams. Do you think the coach stands there and reads off the analytics before the game? Not any dressing room I've ever seen. What do you think?
You imagine? 1 in a million, boys, McDavid. So you're saying there's a chance. You know, and that's the rallying speech.
Samsonite. Yeah.
Hot damn.
It's a job. This is a job for us, folks. Bomber Boy writes in and he says, oil will win tonight. Then he puts a lock. Oh, my God. That's the one thing. I'm going to be broadcasting baseball tonight, and I'm not going to be able to watch all this game. I'm going to be able to watch the first period. This is another thing that people don't understand. When you work in the leagues, and you will nod your head, and Clark too, because he's worked for teams, you follow far less sports because you're working. You know what I mean? And that's part of the reason why I never really wanted to go back and do play-by-play full-time, because you don't have a life like a normal, if you do it right, you don't have a life like a normal person. But, hey, and I said to Joe here with the Moose Jaw Millers, I said, I can't do road games, and they don't do road games. I said, if I'll only do home games for the Millers, if it was road, I wouldn't do it. Because the traveling just eats up way too much of your time where you could be productive doing other things. Ask the Florida Panthers yesterday. Mandy in Edmonton says, LMAO, I think the coach does read the analytics before they read them, but not to the players, in my mind. Colin in Ottawa writes in and he says, funny part about the cricket players here in Ottawa is they will scout out the baseball fields here, and they know if there are no baseball players by 5:45, the field is theirs. That's what I literally pulled over, rolled my window down, and I think these cricket players, this was in Regina, I've seen them in Calgary too. I think they thought I was going to yell at them and say something rude. And I'm like, at least somebody's using the diamonds. Have fun, guys. I'm not that guy. Like a guy that I know who will remain nameless, who was in a car crash with a new Canadian, stood there in the intersection and shook his fist and said, go back to your country. Guy was like, this is my country. It breaks my heart that these conversations even still happen. This land is your land. This land is my land. Want to do some CFL picks?
Let's do it.
Okay. I said that this would shock you. You're not Nobody's teasing me into picking Ottawa to win tonight. It's a big old RP on the Winnipeg side tonight. Winnipeg at Ottawa opens week 2 in the CFL. You?
Winnipeg will beat Ottawa. I believe so, too. I'll take the Blue Bombers.
People try to write in and say there's going to be an upset. Stop. Okay. Where this will shock your pants off. Montreal at Edmonton. I saw the picks from the guys and gals at CFL.ca. It's all Montreal. And for that reason, I'm going with Edmonton. Forget about Cody. We're fine. We're fine.
Yeah.
I'm taking Edmonton over Montreal and Cody Fajardo.
Okay. I'll go Montreal.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, don't make me scare you off, man. If you think Edmonton's going to win, pick them.
Yeah, okay. I will.
The Mighty Horsemen Calgary Stampeders at the BC Lions 50-cent night. That's not the price of tickets. 50 Cent is performing at a pregame party. And they've sold it out because of him. I'll take the BC Lions. How about you?
Yeah, I will as well. In front of that big crowd, I'll take the Lions.
And the Saskatchewan Roughriders at Hamilton. As I told Matthew at Best Buy when I was buying my snowball microphone yesterday, Saskatchewan will win. Bo's done. There's the meme, Moose. Sask will take this one. Bo's done. Riders to win. Riders to ride in Hamilton. How about you?
It's a tough one for me. I'm going to go with Saskatchewan, too. I know it makes our picks pretty boring, but I'm going to go with the Riders, too. I think they will win.
Well, we differed on the Montreal-Edmonton game. That'll make things interesting to watch. There they are. There's your meme today, Moose. Bomber Boy writes in. He's in Calgary. You think he's confused? He goes by Bomber Boy, but he lives in Calgary. And he says, hey, Rod, have you attended an NHL entry draft before? Do you think the Vegas Sphere is a good venue for an event like that? Hang on to the edge of your seats, everybody, because I'll address that and more when we come back. And yes, I've attended many NHL entry drafts, but I have a good Sphere story for you. We'll be right back. We are live on the Game Plus Television Network, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Live, and Spotify.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
The 80s Club, live in Moose Jaw. Honeymoon Suite, along with a flock of seagulls. Men without hats. And spoons. All together for one night at Moose Jaw Event Center, Saturday, November 16th.
Sports sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Send us your opinions now. We won't victimize you unless you really deserve it. Now, back to your host, Rod Pedersen.
To quote the great Bob Cole, and then we'll talk with Jim Lang. Everything is happening. Everything's happening. Moose will come back a little later. But my simple NHL entry draft story is, I've been to many, a bit all over North America. But as far as the Sphere at Super Bowl this year, we hosted the Sober Bowl. It's a sober Super Bowl party, and they were going to rent the Sphere for it. I'm going to ask Jim Lang, because he's Canada's foremost NFL expert. Jimbo, how much do you think it would cost to rent the Sphere at Super Bowl for an hour Super Bowl night for an event? Actually, the night before.
Oh, I'd probably say 100,000 minimum.
$2 million.
Really? Wow.
Yes. So they're like, we're not going to be having the Sober Bowl in the Sphere. No. We went to the Clark County Amphitheater. We had a big time with Lee. How about that? With Lee Steinberg and Earl Campbell. And by the way, we don't need a big fancy place. We just need us recovery folk. Anyways, how you doing, my guy? It's been too long.
I'm good, Rod. How are you doing?
Oh, wonderful. I'm in Canada for the summer, broadcasting minor league baseball, following the Panthers in the Stanley Cup Final. Kind of missing NFL football. Let us get caught up on that. Biggest thing in the NFL today is Tom Brady going into the Patriots Hall of Fame last night. What did you think of his speech and that whole all the hubbub around it?
I thought it was a good glimpse into Tom and like what drove him. He was so driven because of being that 6th-round pick and 199th overall. And a lot of players say, I have a chip on my shoulder, but eventually find success in whatever line of work, business, sport they're in, whatever individual. Eventually you're successful, you're making money, and you don't have the chip on your shoulder for some reason. Tom kept that chip pretty much right to the very end of his career. And, it's a clip that from the speech last night that's making the rounds by a lot of minor hockey coaches, baseball, basketball, amateur sport coaches, and they're trying to part upon their players. Like, look, this is what Tom Brady says about work and the importance of hard work and dedication, that it's an all the time thing. And it's, you see the, sometimes you'll see the clips of Miracle with Kurt Russell and from the Miracle on Ice, and you'll see clips of different sports movies, and they're trying, like, you got to work hard. But like Tom Brady didn't have to be told that. He had such a career that he did for so long that he was good in his 20s. He was better in his 30s. He was even better in his 40s because he never stopped working on and off the field. And, so many people who are successful in the world, you'll hear their friends say, like they're always working. And like it doesn't happen by accident. And I think that's my biggest takeaway from it. I'm not surprised that he retired the number. Who else would dare wear number 12 in New England? I mean, why would he even bother trying to give it away? So, I mean, He's one of the great athletes. Forget football players we've seen in the last 20 years. And his list of accomplishments set a standard so high. I'm not sure in this day and age of, win 1 or 2 rings and you've kind of done something, we're going to see someone come close to his numbers.
I can't see anybody doing it, but I just want to go a little further and then we'll switch gears. Tom did have to be told. There's an online therapy company where you can get remote coaching where Tom's a spokesman for it. I think it's called Good Help. And Tom said it was in Michigan at university where he was brought in by the school sports psychologist and said, I had to change my thinking because I thought everybody else was the problem. And every morning when I got out of bed, I was pointing the fingers at everybody else for my problems, and it changed my thinking. I was defeating myself before I even got out of bed. And that was 25 years ago, he said. So he's like, if I can get therapy, you can get therapy. So Tom did change the way he thought. You just have to be open to it. Looks like you have something to say to that.
Yeah, Bob into a book along those lines called Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink, who Jocko Willink was a Navy SEAL officer who served in Iraq and Afghanistan. In his whole thing, and he's a corporate speaker now, and he says, if something goes wrong, you have to stop pointing fingers. If you're involved, hey, I'm involved, it's on me. And he said for him in the military, kept him and his platoon alive, but he's imparting that upon business people. He's teaching people in business and sales and marketing that you can't always blame everyone else for something. If it's you're involved, you take ownership to it. And it's not just a sports lesson. I think it's a life lesson, Rod. It's important for all of us to try to do that, because sometimes it's human nature. Like, oh, I am my man. Look at the other defenseman. And, great. You don't hear that often, great players, do you? You don't hear a Sidney Crosby or a Joe Sakic or Steve Yzerman say, no, it was them. They always point their finger at themselves.
Well, the last thing I'll say on that is the best thing I ever did was work with the military, and I know you're from a military family in mental health and addiction recovery. You know what I learned from them, Jim? They said to me,
what?
Somebody makes a mistake with us, somebody overlooks a detail, we don't get a second chance.
Yep.
And that's why I don't overlook details. Again, they've got it. They've got it. Now, Stanley Cup, we would be ridiculous not to talk about that. You're a best-selling author of many hockey topics, and we'll talk about your latest in a second. But do you see this Stanley Cup final switching tonight because the venues have switched, Florida up 2-0, or how do you think it'll go?
You talk about attention to detail. This is where Paul Maurice, in 30 years of being a head coach in the NHL, has got the attention to detail. And Sergei Bobrovsky has given up 2 goals in 3 games. You think about that in the Stanley Cup final, in today's day and age, he's given up 2 goals in 3 games. And that's why they're up 2-0 in the series. That's why they're back to the Stanley Cup final. They have a lot of attention to detail. It's a deep, well-coached team. It's a physical, tough team. And unless Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl and Zach Hyman find a way to get a goal early and get the crowd into it and get some momentum, the Panthers will grind them down. And for as far as I'm concerned, the game will be determined in the first period whether or not the Oilers can get on the scoreboard and go into the intermission with a lead. To me, that's going to determine everything. Because if it's 0-0 after 1 period, then Florida shrugs their shoulders and go, we got them. Because we're going to be in their head. They've only scored 1 goal in 2 games. And the longer it goes, the worse it gets mentally for Connor McDavid and the Oilers.
Rich Sutter just said it last hour on this program. He's like, it's mental now. It's everything you just said. So I guess the good thing is I'll be able to watch the first period tonight, and then I'll be broadcasting minor league baseball tonight, Western Canadian Baseball League. So maybe it'll be over by then. That's a good thing. Hey, we're rapid fire on a lot of topics here. I know you can handle it. You're a veteran broadcaster. Craig Berube, how do we feel? Coach of the Leafs.
I feel good. It will be interesting what Brad Treliving does to complement Craig and what he wants out of the Maple Leafs. I know he has spent the last few weeks since being appointed getting to know the players. And it's going to be a Brendan Shanahan, Brad Treliving, Craig Berube triumvirate, if you will, going over notes and determining what's the best course of action. Now, for a lot, the NHL, they do a lot of copycat stuff. We've seen certain teams and certain styles of play over the years, and teams try to emulate it because they were successful. And what the Florida Panthers have done and what the Vegas Golden Knights have done, big defensemen, tough physical teams, it's a reminder to GMs and coaches that it's still a physical game. It's great to have skill, but you have to have a bit of a balance. I find Florida has a good balance between some really skilled players and really heavy, hard forwards and defensemen. And I really believe that Craig Berube wants to take a bit of the Paul Maurice page from his playbook and try to put that into Leafs, because I think the Leafs don't have a problem with skill and talent. They've got that in abundance, but can they balance it a little bit so when the games get rough and the series get rough and the calls aren't going their way, they don't wilt, they still perform?
Rich brought up a great point last hour, too, by the way. I'm just bouncing these things off you from what he said. He said the Panthers players are good people. They're good people. And I'm like, well, they are, because I'm around them all the time, as is their management and coaching staff. And sometimes we wonder if that's a forgotten concept or trait of a winning team. And I'm just going to flip this to the Leafs. For what you know, are they good people? Like, I look at Mitch Marner and think, he looks like a lot of fun, a great kid. Is that a thing with the Leafs? Do you think you got to be a great person? Because I've seen it in the CFL with the Riders. Our championship teams, the mantra was, you got to be a good person or you can't play on this team. And we won championships.
That's a good question, because I met Nick Hague last year doing the research for the book, the big defenseman with the Vegas Golden Knights, and he's just such a nice guy, and he's what you qualify as a good person. William Nylander has become, Leaf fans love him now. And he's done these series, these really funny commercials for the TTC, and he's coming off a great year of production. So, I mean, yes and no. At the end of the day, I think fans want their team to win. And whether or not they're, quote unquote, a good person, or they're all friends, or they all get along, if you win the game and your team wins a championship, not every office is filled with good people. Not every place of business is filled with good people. Now, you would hope.
We know that.
Yeah, I just think mentally, especially, the NHL, they start training camp in September, and now it's June. You're with your players and coaches and staff and your trainers more than your own family for months on end. So you can't all be jerks, you know what I'm saying? But they can't all. Not everyone's maybe going to be the same level of good, but when your best players and your leaders are good people, like a Joe Sakic was with Colorado, like Sidney Crosby with Pittsburgh, and that's your benchmark, that's your measuring stick, the other players tend to fall in line. I'm a believer in that.
It certainly helps, but you're right. You're like, if you win, we won't care whether you're a good person or not. Yeah, but it's not the end justifies the means is the way that's said, and it's like, I don't, of course, but I'm not sure that's the way that we go about it, which, by the way, I feel like we're leading into the talk on the Blue Jays. We'll end it on this.
Mm-hmm.
Guy, did anybody expect this to happen this year?
I mean, Mark Shapiro and Ross Atkins, they believe they know more than everybody else. They're smarter than everybody else. They know baseball better than anybody else. And even when they lose and lose badly, they'll just say it with a straight face to the media and the fans that we competed and blah, 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 and we did this and we did that. And quite frankly, a lot of Jays fans who pay a lot of money to go see the team play and buy the merchandise are getting a little frustrated. And they're looking around Major League Baseball and seeing other teams have a lot more success. And I'm still confused why they traded Kevin Biggio to the Dodgers for a minor league pitcher. Something must have happened in the clubhouse or with management. He was a useful, multi-purpose player who seemed to play a lot of different positions without complaint. Unless something happened that no one knows about. But they walk and talk and act like they know better than everybody else, and don't you dare question them. And they have the answer to everything. Well, okay, all right, okay. So I mean, I'm still waiting. I'm still waiting.
I'm watching it from afar, seeing that exact same thing. And you and I, well, you worked at Sportsnet for a long time, so you know a lot more than I do about what's going on in there. And it's like, if you win, you can do whatever the hell you want. But you lose, people are going to be on your ass right away. And that's kind of where the Blue Jays are at, right?
it's tough for a baseball fan or a Blue Jay fan in Toronto to just accept what they say when Alex Anthopoulos has built a juggernaut in Atlanta. And people try to write it off. Well, he inherited a good team. Okay, it's not like he didn't do anything. But
so did these guys.
Look what he's built. Right. So, but everyone wants to apologize for them and give them excuses and blah blah blah. And if the analytics will listen to what they have to say, and they have got all the answers, and it's a process. And you're like, okay, I'm watching other teams, and why do they? How do they do it? And so I think for Jays fans, their patience is quickly running out on the management and how this team is put together.
Fantastic. Man, we covered it all, brother. Good to see you. Enjoy Game 3 tonight, and let's do it again soon. Oh, yeah, your book. We got a minute.
Get my book for Father's Day.
Looks like it's going great. No.
Yeah,
we can't spend a minute on that.
Okay. It's my day with a group of players and coaches, including Saskatoon's Darcy Kemper, talking about what they did when they had their day with the Stanley Cup and why it was important to them for Darcy to be in Saskatoon or Sidney Crosby to be in Nova Scotia. And it's a lot of cool stories and stories that maybe people didn't realize about the Stanley Cup, some of the traditions around the Stanley Cup, the taboos, what you can and cannot do with it if you're a player. And we're getting some good feedback and good response. And I hope people get it because I'm sure you'll like it.
I'm seeing the response. It's good, and you're doing your book signings, which is always fun. You got a funny book signing story for me? You got a quick book signing story?
No, not yet, because to be honest with you, things are different post-pandemic, Rod. A lot of the stuff, I've done a few like small signings, but not traditional. It's different post-pandemic. It really is. A lot of it is the Zoom, Skype, maybe a media appearance, but not the traditional people lined up, in a bookstore, that kind of thing.
All right, gotcha, buddy. Okay, enjoy the sports. We'll do it again soon.
Go Moose Jaw.
Exactly. Jim Clubber Lang. The WHL champion Moose Jaw Warriors, I might add, and the Miller Express tonight, home to the Regina Red Sox. It's going to be fun to see those boys again. Moose will rejoin us. We'll be right back here on Game Plus TV, Key Radio, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Live, and Spotify.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience in the house.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Hi, my name's Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with The Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Oh, yeah, he's back. Time for more of the Rod Pedersen Show.
Hi, yeah, that's me. Welcome back, everybody. I'm that guy. Hey, Moose. Let's bring him back. I got a fun thing for you here, and I should have brought this up with Jim Lang. They tell me Moose is here. Do you have anything here before I have the NFL breaking news today? Do you have anything you'd like to talk about?
No, I'm good. I mean, I don't know if we talk much about some of the NHL breaking news with the St. Louis Blues and Alex Steen going to be their new general manager, if we saw that, and the San Jose Sharks. Yeah.
New general manager? I thought Doug Armstrong signed an extension. I'm sorry. I thought
he did sign an extension, but there's an Doug Armstrong signed an extension, and then starting, I believe, in the 2026-27 season, Alexander Steen will become the general manager. Doug Armstrong will become the president.
Wow.
He gets to learn
Teams
for 2 seasons.
Usually do
that.
that.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, good for them if they think it'll work. I've heard of teams that have wanted to do that or tried to do that, and people plan and God laughs. Anyways, so thank you for that. But the breaking news from the NFL, this we'll have some fun with. You've seen it. The Atlanta Falcons were stripped of a 5th-round pick in next year's draft for violating the NFL's anti-tampering rules prior to signing quarterback Kirk Cousins. The Falcons and Cousins agreed on a 4-year, $180 million contract shortly after the league's 52-hour legal tampering window opened. It's normal for teams and players to reach agreements quickly, and there were other players who agreed to deals even before Cousins. But Kirk Cousins' comments at his introductory news conference raised questions that led to the NFL's investigation. I'm like, in 2024, this is still going on. Like, this is so Ed Hervey, Odell Willis, whatever year. I can't believe that this is what they're saying it is.
I was going to say, when have I heard this story before? I've heard this story before. Yeah, Odell Willis, 30 seconds into free agency opening. The fastest signing in the history of sports. No negotiation took place. Here's the offer. We accept.
You worked that out? You worked that out in 30 seconds? It completely changed the way the CFL's done business. Yeah, and I'm like, listen down there in Atlanta. Ryan L. Radio, what do you think about this? I mean, I didn't watch the news conference. I was loosely following the story because, again, I got to follow cricket. I don't have enough time to talk and follow what the Atlanta Falcons are doing. But it's like, maybe don't give Kirk Cousins a microphone because I always liked him before, but like you, I watched the quarterback series on Netflix. The guy couldn't tell a lie if you put a gun to his head. So maybe don't answer any questions about how this came about, Kirk. Did you watch it? Like, if you know Kirk Cousins, he's just going to spill it. He's just going to spill it. That's
He's
why
an
I
honest
can't
guy.
operate. I've made the distinction that I can't operate in sports on a full-time basis anymore because all it is lie, which is total. That's fine. But I don't want to do it. It doesn't feel right. And Kirk Cousins has been there long before I was. I think he's always been this way. That's my take. Why? What did you think he was going to say? Do you know what he said that even made them raise a red flag? I don't.
But, it was just, He's an honest person. He's going to talk about how it went down. And you know what? He's also going to be sitting there thinking, well, if you're talking to me and my agent during this period or this number of days before, then obviously it's okay to do that, because Kirk wouldn't do it if he knew it was wrong. At least you wouldn't think that he would. But the agents
you have agents for.
It's what you have agents for. They're supposed to shield the players, and they do. But the Falcons are the ones who get stripped here at the 5th round pick. Not a massive penalty, but still a pretty big penalty.
So from the audience, Scott, and I'll let you go after this segment. I'll read a sports update. Next one. Scott here in Moose Jaw writes, and he says, what did you think of the Tom Brady roast? So funny. I haven't watched it yet, and I will get around to it, but I don't know what we were doing. We were at home in Florida looking to kill some time. If Serena's watching now, she could tell me. I'm like, would you want to watch the Tom Brady roast? And she's like, not really. She doesn't really like football. Figure that one. She's baseball number 1, hockey number 1, baseball 2. So I haven't watched it yet. So thank you for the reminder, Scott. We did talk about it when it came out, and Darren, you loved it, right? You're giving it, what would you give it on a scale of 1 to 10?
Yeah, I give it about an 8.5. I thought it was really good. And then that sparked me on a comedy spree. So if you're looking for comedy, I watched Kevin Hart accepted the Mark Twain Award, and that's a pretty prestigious award. So it was a little bit of a roast of Kevin Hart. And then that brought me on to Keith Robinson. If you know Keith Robinson, he's one of Kevin Hart's mentors. He came on stage during that. Now he's dropped a Netflix special. And what's happened recently is he's suffered 2 strokes. But he plays into it and he accepts it, and it makes for really hilarious comedy. So watch that one, Keith Robinson, last night.
Okay, I know where it was. We were in the Florida Keys. It was the last weekend before I came to Canada, and we're just sitting around the hotel room, and I said, "Do you want to watch the Tom Brady roast?" She's like, "No." You know how her and I are just in our own little world, speak our own little language, and what we do usually in the Keys is watch the 24-hour Keys info channel. Tells you what restaurants to go to, what excursions to take, and we just sit there and watch it. And we learn history and the photo, like the video of the turtles underwater and the alligator. It's just fascinating. We watch it 24/7. Who wants to watch Tom Brady when you can watch an alligator eat a bird live? Freddie in Winnipeg writes in. He says, hey, great show and even better look with the Jets hoodie, Rod. Now you just need a friend to send you guys some Sea Bears swag. Bombers will win tonight by 13. Hashtag mention Winnipeg much? Listen, we can't talk about you all. I think we've been very good to Winnipeg today. And he's basically saying that if you're going to send anything to wear on this show, I'll wear it this summer. Send it to the Rod Pedersen Show, care of the Moose Jaw Golden Ticket Sports Center. You can look up the address. That's where we're at. That's where we're doing the show. And it's a fantastic home for us. And just with regards to Larry Zonka, losing it and then walking it back in your video that you posted, right? It's good. Jim in Balgoni writes in on the Sober Carpenter text line, 902-518-3033, and he says, it's kind of fun to see just how far someone can push you, Roddy, to the brink of snapping, then you reel it in and give a gentle answer. Loving it as always, RP Group. That was Larry Zonka in the video. You got to watch it.
Yeah.
It's old people, man.
So good.
We're all old. Okay. Have a great day.
You bet. You too.
Overtime's next with one final sports update and any of your comments that are left over. We'll update the poll. We'll talk about that. We'll be right back here on Game Plus Television, Key Radio, YouTube Live, and Apple Podcasts and Spotify.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide ICAST Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Hi, my name's Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
You got something to say? You want to add to the show? What are you waiting for? Don't just sit there. Say something. Now, back to the studio with Rod.
It's overtime for our friends here in Calgary at Overtime Hockey Lanes. You got to love the sporting facilities. Can you hear the swing of the bat, the crack of the bat? The Millers are here getting ready. Little warm-up this morning for tonight's home game against the Regina Red Sox. Overtime's brought to you by Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary. It's shooting lanes for hockey players and hockey enthusiasts. Of course, obviously, male and female, 28th Street Northeast in Calgary, where skill and fun collide. Check them out. Tell them Rod sent you. Summer camps for kids. $99 monthly passes with unlimited lane time. They've got it all at Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary. I hope you've had a good time today. I just realized, I'm like, in 7 minutes, I got to go out and deal with life. Nothing major, just adult stuff. You know, you adults will know things that come up. And it makes you realize when you appreciate the days that you don't have things you got to deal with. Those are the real fun days. Nothing major, but we'll get it done. Regarding Kirk Cousins spilling the beans that the Falcons tampered with him. What a story. I should not be surprised. Brian in Hudson's Bay writes, and he says, Kirk Cousins can't keep a secret. Today's Sheldon from Big Bang Theory. I know, right? It's one of those, you know, of course, the Wi-Fi's gone down. And listen, when I don't want to say anything untoward about the Golden Ticket Sports Center. It's not their fault, right? Before the show, the lights went off. Well, there was a yoga class going on upstairs. And for some reason, somebody felt the bright idea to flip the breaker and turn the lights off in here. Thank God we weren't on the air when that happened. I said to Serena, where's the camera? Aside from this one, being punked. Your sports update today. The Edmonton Oilers host the Florida Panthers in Game 3 of the Stanley Cup Final tonight at Rogers Place. The series shifts to Edmonton with the Panthers leading 2-0 after securing 2 wins in Sunrise. I'm getting a lot of my friend Marvin. He's a farmer from Assiniboia, as Saskatchewan as it gets. He texted me. It's his birthday today. So I texted him. I said, happy birthday, good buddy. And he wrote me back. He says, thank you. I'm not an Oiler fan, but I think they're going to take one of the games at home. I don't think it's going to sweep. I guess here's a shameless plug for the Cats and Bolts podcast, which is dropping this afternoon from Podcast Junkies in Florida, where we preview the series. We answer all the fans' questions. It's actually a lot of fun. Just go to our Twitter and you'll find it there, or YouTube, Cats and Bolts podcast. They're saying, would you rather sweep or would you rather win it at home so we can win it at, see it here? I'm like, nail it down. From a Panthers perspective, if you're up, nail it down. Forget about this coming home to win it at home stuff. I don't want to spoil it. It's all on the Panthers Cats and Bolts podcast. We had a good one. And I videoed in from here. Serena was there. Bob's your uncle. The Boston Celtics are 1 win away from an 18th NBA title. Jaylen Brown produced 30 points, 8 rebounds, and 8 assists as the Celtics beat the Dallas Mavericks 106-99 to take a commanding 3-0 series lead. I'll read what's going on tonight in sports. I mentioned Panthers at Oilers Game 3 of the Stanley Cup. Western Canadian Baseball League tonight. Regina at Moose Jaw. I'll be calling it on Home Team Live. Check us out. Medicine Hat at Saskatoon. Weyburn at Swift Current. Fort McMurray at Brooks. Okotoks at Edmonton. Lethbridge at Sylvan Lake. Canadian Elite Basketball League. They got a 3-banger tonight. Niagara at Montreal. Ottawa at Scarborough. And Winnipeg at Vancouver. Last night, Jalen Harris of the Rattlers, the former Toronto Raptor, set a CEBL record. I meant to say this earlier. 45 points leading the Rattlers to the win over the Brampton Honey Bears last night. They're 5-2. He is the Lionel Messi of the Canadian Elite Basketball League. And what I mean by that, this league's too easy for him. Messi shows up with Inter Miami scoring 5 goals a game. It's made the league look bad, actually. Not that the CEBL looks bad, but it's just this guy's above. He should be in the NBA. And from what I'm hearing from my guys, he will be next year, Jalen Harris. We're also brought to you by EMJ Marketing. Transform your audience with powerful presentations from EMJ Marketing's elite speakers. Check out their website for more information, emjmarketing.com. We got news that we've been sitting on for a while, and I'm very excited to be hosting the most prestigious hockey banquet in this province. We locked it down just yesterday. It's coming up in July. Details will be coming out on that. We've been trying to make it work for years. And I'll be doing it now. This summer, July 12th. Tell you tomorrow maybe what it is. Also brought to you by Landmark Cinemas. In Landmark Cinemas now, Bad Boys, Ride or Die. This summer, the world's favorite Bad Boys are back with their iconic mix of edge-of-your-seat action and outrageous comedy. But this time with a twist, Miami's finest are now on the run. Starring Will Smith and Martin Lawrence, if you didn't know. Bad Boys Ride or Die in Landmark Cinemas now. And, of course, also brought to you by Common Crown Brewing Company. A lot of hockey talk today. When we do it, it's for Common Crown, turning your everyday common beer into a unique and exceptional experience. Visit commoncrown.ca. Big thank you to Rich Sutter. Thank you to Jim Lang. Thanks to the IKS crew for pulling it all together. And it's been big fun. Most of all, thank you all for tuning in, because without you, there's no us and our fine sponsors. You see one on the screen. Enjoy the CFL tonight. Enjoy the NHL tonight, Game 3. It's a wonderful time of the year. 30 seconds still? Are you kidding? Well, take the time and vote on our poll over the next 22 hours. Do you think that the Panthers' travel problems will affect their play in Game 3? It's obviously a no. But they were delayed because of storms getting out of Fort Lauderdale yesterday. It's not going to affect them. It's going to be a hell of a game, though. We'll see you all tomorrow here, noon Eastern, Game Plus and Key Radio.
Who has more fun than us?